This past month, I've been working on an Afterlife soundbank. So today's video, I want to show you guys some of the presets in this new soundbank that I have, but I also want to make it educational and I want to show you guys some of the techniques that I use to make sure that these presets will aid you in your goal of creating the music you want. The first thing are the bass lines. Now, what I do to create bass lines that will work for your music and give you the least amount of issues. In order to do this, first off, I use Vision 4X. And this allows me to see pretty much the spectrogram, which looks like kind of like Predator's about to hunt its next victim. But the reason I wanted is because one, you can see how the kick is going to take up its space, but you can also see how the bass looks in theory. I will level the bass to where it needs to be at and add a sidechain. Now, if you can see, it makes it so easy to just kind of nail the bass because using a reference at the same time with this allows me to see how hot, how red the bass line and how long is it lasting. But from there, I can control it with the Syren Decay amp. And that allows me to create a decent bass. Oh, fuck. I also experimented with the idea of programming everything in the patch for people, and I believe on this one, we don't really need a sidechain. That's how it is. Everything is done for you on this one. Now from there, I wanted to create a pack that people were going to be excited to use. So as a sound designer, I have to prove myself to you guys. And one of the ways that I do that is by remaking some of the sounds that people have asked for, and sound designers have somewhat done the requests, but there's always something missing. It always feels like you're not getting the recreation. It always feels like it's somewhat there, but it's missing a lot. So for this, again, soundbank, I really wanted to push the boundaries of Syren, and I love Syren because we have EQs, we have a lot of cool stuff. So when I was doing the Explore Your Past preset, which is here, it's the Anyma Lead. It's very iconic, and it's a very nice lead to impress people with. It's one of the harder leads to create because there's just so much character in the sound. Now, the sound itself is created using just the basic analog shapes. Syren has the analog section, and I always recommend people stay there for their leads because digital and all those are cool, but these at the expense of, again, fundamentals, frequencies and harmonics will create like interesting sounds, but at the expense of body and power. And a lot of the Anyma sounds are not evolving like a dubstep sound would or like a drum and bass sound would. So the key thing with this sound in just nailing it was the EQ, which again, we pre-drive the distortion. So with the EQ before distortion, we're literally telling the distortion to focus on certain frequencies. And those frequencies are going to be located here and here. Because if I remove this EQ, the sound is lost. And a lot of producers like Medusa and so do this without even knowing that's what they're doing. So what I mean by this is that after Syren, they will start to EQ and then they will distort, then EQ, then distort, then EQ, then distort. So there's a lot of phases that occur till eventually they reach the outcome of a sound. From there, we can also use envelopes to mimic some of the plugins out there. For instance, you know, you might get a plugin that has dynamic distortion, aka the distortion is applied, but you still keep some of the shape. So we can use an envelope for that. The other thing too is that these kind of sounds are stacked. So what I mean by that is we have voices added here, but I still want the sound down the center. So Syren gives you the option of going into global and stacking those. Here I'm doing, I believe, two octave jumps. So for instance, I'm playing this F, but then this high F is playing and this high F as well. But that creates a wall of sound for your listeners to just hear, and that's why I believe the Anyma sound is so captivating. These sounds that you hear here, for instance, this one, it's a very beautiful sound, and the Anyma sound, the Afterlife sound, the melodic techno sound right now is all about that movement, and that movement is achieved with, again, envelopes, your modulators. For example, here we have an envelope being routed to the rate of my LFO from a very high rate down to here. And at the same time, there's this filter that's moving on this cutoff like so. And all of that together creates this sound. There's just a lot of movement. So now as I put my mono legato on and increase my portamento, I can glide my notes. Here's a sound which the recreation for it was really tough for me, and I still feel like there's something missing, but it's more on the processing side of stuff. This Anyma sound called Eternal Universe. Really, you're going to need, again, the LFO that's going to be moving at a 16th rate to do it, and you're going to need a pitch bend. The good thing is with most synths, you're going to have a bend range. So instead of using like MIDI and applying a pitch bend there, you can set your range here. For instance, I could set this to -7, and I could play this again. And there we go. Now, the cool thing about this sound in particular is that I had to program this so that this cutoff is moving the filter up and down. So okay, but I have a feeling that Anyma might have recorded himself just moving the cutoff like this as he played whatever he was playing. You know, and that's the thing with LFOs. We're routing here, starting at a low level. And then from there, and I believe -3 was the one I decided on. Again, just more movement. We're adding a gate to the sound on the levels. And the way that you would program that, again, just for the beginner, if you guys are watching, you would have your LFO here. Let's say we init this so that we can start from the beginning. And you can hold shift and input notes like so. And you can create a rhythm. Now we can route this guy to the levels. Now you got to make sure the volume of the oscillators are down. And now we have that. From there, there's this nursery Vries sound, which I really wanted to create, and it took a while to do, but since it's an organ-based sound, organ-based sounds are built on the foundation of fundamentals in the sense that when we have sines, they are pure, pristine waveforms that are going to play at the fundamental of the sound. And when we look at this through span, if I play D, you're going to see a bunch of resonances here. But if I go to each resonance, D, D5, D6, and then this top part is added using downsample, Big Crush. But we're creating an organ sound here. A lot of people tell me this is a Pigments preset, and I get that, but I'm just trying to teach people how to fish. Here we have another Anyma sound, which is amazing. And again, utilizing the same techniques as before. This one's just all about picking the right sounds. We're going to have squares again, which seems to be coming a lot. But this would be an H pulse here, which is a square that has been, the middle line or the pulse is being shifted to the left. And this is going to be playing, again, just some notes for us. These sounds are just good because there's a lot of heavy distortion in the Anyma sound. So without distortion, it sounds more of a, yeah, I'm kind of a little bit more like rudimentary, but this. With this sound, the thing that I want to highlight about it, because it is just sauce, is that a lot of people have been adding the tunement in unison to achieve this sound. And I feel like that's a huge mistake, because when you hear the song and when you analyze the song using, again, Vision 4X, the sound is actually coming down the center. It's not coming from the sides. The sides are taken up by the reverb and the delay that you create. And that allows that reverb and delay to shine, because if the saws are wide, then you're placing the saws on top of the reverb and delay that you've created. So again, bringing this down allows these sounds to be down the center. We can retrig them now by lowering down the random phase. Sounds beefier. And then we let the reverb, we let the delay just take that. One of the last leads that I recreated for this pack was the Syren Lead by Anyma. I really love that lead, and some of you guys saw me do it during a live stream, and you saw what it took. I think it was about an hour of just tweaking stuff, but The thing that makes this different from any progressive house lead or anything out there is the layer that Anyma decides to layer on top, which is this guy here. It changes the sound completely, and it's a sine envelope to the noise for texture. From there, I didn't nail this one how I would want to, but the Syren riding sound from Anyma, it's such a cool sound. I mean, again, it's back to analog, back to movement, but the thing that makes the Anyma sound what it is just the distortion that... For this one, I decided to use an LFO on the matrix here to program the pitch band. So for instance, it's going to be routed to the B fine. So these guys are routed here to the fine. The fine is a section of the oscillator that is between a note and the other note. It's the section where if you're in it too deep, you sound out of key. You can see if I move it, it makes it sound but that's cool because the Dutch guys used to use it a lot. And again, just routing this guy here, Alt-Shift-Click to make it unipolar. So my camera decided to die, but I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. The soundbank is out at EvoSounds.com. You guys know I always try my best, and I hope that you guys enjoy the sounds. Much love, and you guys take care.